my timer's not going. All right. Sorry, folks. The timer didn't lag, so I couldn't tell if I was up. Hi, Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. The Historical Fencing Guild is a proud member of the Rising Tide broadcast network. So take a little screenshot of these fine folks who also have programs throughout the week to give you creative entertainment brought by independent, intelligent people. This is a great way to get a new perspective on the world and not just be bogged down in the misery that we all have to endure. All right, the Historical Fencing Guild is also brought to you by the sales of The Simple Sword and The Fighting Axe. Both are novels manuals on methods of sword fighting made simple, easy, and accessible, written by yours truly. They can be found at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tuckert. That's me. The links are in the bio, in the description. We have one more. We are also brought to you by Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the RPG game. This is not me pulling a game shady stories on you. I wrote and designed this game for Luke Stone's Hybrids, the Sons of God. It is still, for a very small period of time, in being crowdfunded on Indiegogo. And you can support it and get special limited edition offers. It's a really great thing at igg.me/at/the Killing Field 2. So please look into that. Guys, I will actually be live on another channel tomorrow night at 7 o'clock running a playthrough of the Quick Play, which I am holding in my hand. Now. I also want a huge shout out. I am made possible and kept the lights on by folks like Bladed Thesis and Cindy Kep, who are my amazing Patreon patrons for just $1 a month, okay? It helps so much to help me be able to buy the gear to review it so that you can find out if it's worth having or not. So we've got folks in the chat. I'm going to start talking about the chat. If you are watching this, please run the live chat on your screen or I will seem completely schizophrenic. Other than that, hi guys. We have a lot to talk about this week. I was a little hesitant getting in. We had some medical things, nothing bad, but as down here, options for medical care popping up. My schedule's getting real busy while we deal with the options that the doctor said, now hold off. There's a pandemic. You can't deal with that. So my world's getting real busy for the next few weeks. And this is a just old-fashioned coffee. Nothing quite as hot as I usually run, but a good mellow level of caffeine. And we'll hit the notes. Bladed Thesis says hello. Cindy Kep says greetings and salutations. Joe Bachman says good evening, folks. Cindy says how in the world are you? And Foxy says we're here. Let's start with what's relevant to those two people. In the words of one of the great philosophers of our time, I just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Actually, it's from Bladed Thesis and Foxy. Now, I'm not going to flip it over because that has their address and my address, and y'all don't necessarily need that. But they said they were going to send me something, and I told them I would open it live for their entertainment on this broadcast. So I've had to look at this for a couple days because I'm a man of my word. But sometimes that really, really sucks. So if this explodes, you all know who sent it. That would explain why it's ticking. No, I'm kidding, folks. Okay, we got it. What is this? Okay. I've got, look at this letter, folks. This is gorgeous, waxy. I don't usually warrant this kind of thing. All right, now Bladed Thesis under Assorted Handles. Pines Bush. Look at this. This is a custom bound book with my boot on the end. This is, and it's lined. I'm going to do something very special with this. Look, it's got a wax stamp. Put that up there. Can I get that? Look at this, guys. Now that's my brain screams kanji because I about 3 lifetimes ago. Yeah, almost exactly. I studied Japanese and I was doing very well until they switched my expatriated little kind of geeky guy somebody I related to with his future wife who was very ganky and did jumping jacks, and as a teenager I did not think clearly. This is beautiful. I love the way this is bound. This is just a gorgeous little binding. And I absolutely love it. This is beautiful. So I'm gonna place this, on the safest place I have. The remains of the spider that invaded cannot find the furthermore. So now I have to break a beautiful wax seal. And I hate doing it because, guys, this is... Look at that. Look at that dragon. Can I get it in the light? That is one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen. And I'm hoping, let me double check. I have it on the back, so it's preserved. This is... Sorry, I get very... I take gifts very seriously. I also take seals very seriously. So if I start glowing... And yes, there is writing. So I'm going to pop the seal very gently, respectfully, because it's incredibly rare for me to pop a seal. I'm going to read this. Is it okay if I read this letter, Thesis Foxy? Because this is incredibly beautiful and it's incredibly touching. But if you want me to keep it to myself, I certainly will. It's just, this is probably getting framed and going up on my wall, as this is beautiful. So I will wait for their response. Oh. Yes, Joe sent me a package quite some time ago. Please do. It's for everyone. Okay, wonderful. It says, Nick, I hope this note finds you healthy and well. Doing better. Foxy and I would like to show you how much your content means to us. It has brought us together and brought us closer together. Sorry, I'm a little tight in my throat. And given us something to talk about besides the normal things of daily life. I made you this journal so that you can have something that you can write things down on during streams when people come up with ideas or questions. The Chinese characters on the cover say, and it's written out. It's written out. Jin Mingjia Nike? And my enunciation is probably terrible, which roughly translates to Swordmaster Nick. The wax seal on the cover is my own symbol. It is absolutely exquisite. Please send me a more detailed image, possibly larger, because I have some ideas. We have enjoyed watching and learning from you and hope to see you continue well into the future. My wife especially has benefited greatly from seeing another, and this is in quotes, short cripple. Her words, not mine. Hey, I believe in taking and owning my strengths and my weaknesses equally because they're all part of me. So if you use it, it can't be used against you. Who can and does swordsmanship and martial arts. It has given her more hope that she can do things that she didn't think she could do before. Keep up the good work and never listen to your imposter syndrome, which is something Foxy and I both struggle with. Thanks again for everything you do, and I look forward to hopefully meeting you, hopefully one day meeting you in person. Sincerely, Kǎijié and Foxy Lee. Thank you so much. I'm I am beyond touched by this. This is just the thought and effort that went into it it's incredible, and I am learning to be better with praise. But this, guys, the contents of this letter, what it's doing for people, is why I do this. It's why I wrote my book. It's why I've spent 20 years trying to help people. And I am so moved and so touched by this. There really aren't words. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to set that up. And that letter's getting framed and going up in my office. Okay. I will not get misty-eyed on my channel. You guys won't take me serious if I do. Thank you, Steve. I have something special in plans for that journal as well. Okay. So we're going to move forward, and we're going to talk about a few things. The weather here has caused some issue, as have some health issues. So there's a slight delay on the buckler video, but it is coming. So to offset that, I can't do a deep dive on the buckler video. I'm going to highlight pretty much my favorite buckler on the market, talk about its pros and cons, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why I consider it part of a family of a certain type of weapon. As soon as I can, regain my composure. I am very strong against insults. I'm accustomed to them, but complimentary, it's beautiful. And you guys, I'm going to be up at like midnight tonight, just going, wow. Doing what I do has meant a lot of time just talking to a blank TV, talking to a blank screen, talking to a cell phone, hoping that what I'm doing helps somebody. And every time I find out it does, it reminds me why this is my great passion in life. And there aren't words in how much people letting me know that what it does. There aren't words. And honestly, because I don't talk about my battles perhaps enough, you don't know how much good you do. But moving forward, because it is Friday night, and I know you guys can't really, you didn't come here to see me get all sentimental too much. Let's you know what? Let's kick the tires and light the fires. We're going to talk about something. This is the Cold Steel Medieval Buckler. Now, if you buy it, it will look like this. This is my favorite entry-level buckler on the market. This is wonderful. It has one con. Well, it has two cons, potentially. And I'm going to talk about them first, only to get them out of the way. You'll need to check the weight on this. This is right around a pound and some change. Now, for a shield, weight, it can be a stabilizing element. Yep, we're at the fires. So I'm going to go back to the one I usually use, which I swear feels lighter after all these years. Probably does, because I've used it so much that I've, buffed the inside. The grip is actually a little smoother on this one than the other one, just from years ago. But the paint makes it show up on camera a lot easier. Now, I used to fight in black or muted colors with black or muted. Oh, who wants a book, let me know. It might take a little while to get the materials, but I hand bind each one and place my seal on the back. It's this. I'm going to pause because you all need to look at this again. This is beautiful. I want you guys to see this. This is really gorgeous. If you are really into this thesis, if you really want to go down this rabbit hole, I actually, because I'm the guy who knows a lot of people, one of the few. Oh yes, it is. Anthony Long. It's either Anthony Long or Anthony Lang. Cause I'm a little discombobulated. I'm going to connect you to, because he does bookbinding, and that's part of his SCA shtick. And I think you two would really enjoy just cross-referencing. So I'll hop on Facebook and I'll do what I usually do, which is tag both of you into a single comment, explain why, and let you guys kind of have the floor. So that's definitely happening. Now, this is usually around $25, which is very affordable. It is very, one thing I like, except for people like maybe Steve or John, have a little bit of tangle, and these can be a little tight for gauntleted hands. So you really want to wear demi-gaunts, which are half gauntlets. I have one of them way over there, but there's no way I can get at it without knocking things over. I might do something else, because what you don't know, Thesis, and which nobody really knows, is I am working on another written project, and everybody knows I have about 12 or 14 going at any time, based on my philosophy of swordsmanship. So it's a little more esoteric, borders on the metaphysical, and it may cross into that as a right. I used to, when my hands worked, I was actually very interested in certain forms of calligraphy, and just light calligraphy. I may just put some of that in there and see how it fits, and write, because it's very segmented. It's ideas, it's thoughts. It's not quite cohesive right now, but I think I will put very special things in that, so that it can be found at some point later and be of use to people, if you don't mind, because I think that would be a good place to put that level of important material. So this, now Steve says his knuckles hit, so large-handed people will have problems with this. But that being said, this is pretty much the penultimate explanation of a buckler, and I can use this to kind of cover their use. Now, obviously, I'm doing the whole, I'm seated, I'm in my study. I'm going to do a full video if I can get, especially depending on how some tests come out, if I can get my wife or someone equivalent to throw some shots my way so I can show the proper actions of how to make one of these guys go. I'll be doing that video for Cindy. We're just, the weather shifted right here, and I'm not, it wouldn't do me good to try film a video in 40 mile an hour winds. So we've got the buckler. Now the buckler, this is a buckler. This also, if you expand it, could be a center-boss shield. Now most shields are strap shields. They hang like this, and I'll do a whole separate thing on them. I'm actually quite fond of strap shields, so it would surprise. And especially in Cindy Kep's case, given her physicality and limitations, the modern riot shields, which are feather light, might be a very good option. But we have light option versions of this too. So when you're talking bucklers, you want a sturdy buckler, stout. Yes, this weather has been, it was we were at 100 degrees and we were at 50 degrees, and that means my joints have not been, we'll say, cooperative. It's been strange the last few days, but okay. So first thing you have to realize is there is a trade-off: leverage versus protection. What do I mean? The farther I extend, you can't. This blocks most of. Let me check. Yeah, that blocks most of the view. That means, as long as this is lined up with eyesight, I am blocked. I'm at least obscured and mostly protected, but at least from a straight shot. The attack has to go around the buckler at extension. This gets very close to the cover versus concealment discussions that you have when you're talking about firearms. Now, a shot that goes in this should be stopped, and it should deflect. But I got talking. I skipped the downsides. Well, we'll talk about the downsides in a second. Okay, so anything hitting this, because it's a rounded surface, it's very hard for it to find purchase, especially an actual tip. It's going to deflect and go. That's why these were so popular. These are also very agile in the hand. And this, on a shield that's this small, doesn't have as much use as on a rounder proper center boss that might be 24, 30 inches in diameter more. You start being able to this. And that means you can open and close the door. No, cars are not covered. They are concealment. Although the engine blocks are pretty good, although the skips bug me. But yes, exactly. Now, I do a lot with cloaks when I'm explaining them, and I'll do those are very much concealment, not cover, because the force can usually penetrate a cloak. So I consider a hanging cloak, unless you manage to tangle and offline the weapon, to be something that can be stabbed through. It disguises your movements. It can be used to adjust. This is cover in that it stops and deflects. But when you are using it, a lot of times, and I actually used to fight with a buckler known as the Flaming Chicken, that was half the time used flat and half the time used as a palm, which this style's not suited for this particular buckler, but presented. That goes against everything my hands aren't supposed to do, so we're not going to do much of that. But the idea is, okay, remember your center line. That's the line that goes from right between your eyes to where your legs meet. Center line. This pushes things off the center line. So if we go over some basic hand parries, the buckler starts to make a lot of sense. Okay, windshield wiper. Now remember I told you about the upside down buckler? Let's use, I don't have that right now. It is out in the garage, and I'm not currently garage navigable. So we'll use the tactical tambourine. Yes, cloaks are where I started using a technique, a variant of technique called the ghost step. I absolutely adored it when I was fast. I'm no longer fast. I'll talk about that if you like. But the point being, even with the tactical tambourine, if it's flat, you're parrying out. Now, hand parry, cross parry, hand parry. Hands naturally cover the outside. The hinge, ball joint to hinge joint loves to offensively meet something coming here. So as long as it's a lot of things are knowing when a shot is coming, where it is relative to your center line. And at the basic level, there are people later who there are tangles and there are things you can do much more aggressive later that intentionally cross the center line. But just like not crossing your feet, at the basis of the style, you don't cross the center line. You don't let a shot cross the center line. Meaning, when I arm you, dear friends, okay, not perfect, but it'll work. If a shot is coming here, I want to parry out so that it goes away. So the motion looks like that. I don't want to do this because it gives it all that time to get in and poke me. You want the shortest route to safety. So let me do that where I can catch it. There. Okay? Now you'll notice I incorporate avoid with my parries. I have been told this is wasteful. This is something I disagree with people about. It is your choice. But I prefer to comfortably be ready for my parry to fail. Okay? The problem with hand parries is you're using your hand, and it is made of squishy meat with bones inside. I like my hands. They may not work as well as they used to, but they'd work a whole lot worse if I started letting sharp things slice off chunks. So I'm very protective of my hands. Enter our good buddy, the buckler. Now, the buckler can block and it can deflect, and these are two different functions based on point of contact and attack. What do I mean? Okay, a block horizontally, that's a little long, so I need a slightly shorter implement. If only I had one. Okay. If a shot is coming, the buckler is strongly presented, it's going to block it and then, run it off the side. If it is strongly presented, that makes a cone of defense, keeping you safe. Yay! One you can further capitalize by aggressing into the shot. But if it's a strike that's coming around, okay, so if it's a chop and you want to catch it there. Now there is a sweet spot. Exactly. Absolutely. Sidney Kemp said it so eloquently. I love it. Parry plus void equals belt plus suspenders. Sometimes you want both. When fighting folks who can muscle through your parries, void plus parry equals good idea. Exactly. Now, remember, we're talking about this. If you're dealing with a concussive shot or you've got in a little bit, this angle here. So, taking this as a two-dimensional V. V's make any swordmaster happy because V's catch things. Now, it's not as tight as, say, our good buddy, the parry dagger. Boom. It's much easier for that to get out. But if I catch a shot, and I can catch it right here, it's a limited bind. I can rotate it farther out and get the opponent out of my way. This is good because it forces an opening, so especially for you more aggressive fighters. This is Steve all day. Catch, nope. And while that's being nope, this is coming in and doing bodily harm. The other thing about a buckler is it can catch on its edge. And I find out more often than not, you'll notice there's a row of little dings and chips along my edge. Because parry. I want to parry a little on the fast. Because if I catch it late, okay, if I catch it early, I've got lots of coverage. I'd have to really over parry to get a intended shot. Oh, heck no. I am live, folks. Sorry. Let me know if that was an emergency. Okay. If I parry out, that drives the shot out, that forces the opening. Yay. I tend to catch at the edge because people are very fast. It's a that random caller is my family's Facebook private Facebook group. And while I respect them and I love them, they know I'm live right now, so that's going on. But because of necessities, I do keep my phone on. So my point being, we'll get back to that. Being able to simply maintain your outside with your buckler is good. If you don't know what to do with your buckler, if you can keep your elbow tucked and here, your bare minimum, a static buckler, bare minimum, especially if it has any size, rooted, will block this area. They have to go around it. And that could be then delivered, okay? So you can, and you'll notice I'm angling it. If I hold it flat, it gives me better protection and deflection, but it's going to pivot. If I integrate a pivot and I grab it like so, let me see if I can make that visible for you guys. Which is why my wife also gets the same call, and if it's important, I can bail. But I don't think it's that pressing right now. Okay, you see my hand? What I'm doing is forcing a nice... yeah. It's been a while since I've read Degrassi, and that just delights me, Cindy. This is going to let the angle deflect for you. And especially once you start getting larger bucklers or center bosses, this becomes basic shield work. And when it's parked like this, it's essentially like a strap shield. You'll see the inherent weakness in this. If I see a fighter doing this, and I'm actually fighting them, with an intent to score, and I'm not just drilling, there's the throw the shot at the head. Why do I want to throw the shot at the head first when I'm fighting versus this? Because very likely the buckler is going to come up. If they are smart, a lot of times they want to defend with the defensive object and counter with the offensive object. So this is the part that said. So you'll see this motion. This is great for covering the high line, but it both blinds and leaves your opponent. It leaves you totally vulnerable for a shot to the gut. The other thing is watch how they move, and after a pass or two, you'll be able to tell if they're properly covering that elbow. Now, this is one of those where gun guys and buckler guys actually get along pretty well. If I'm shooting a gun, I need a firearm-looking object. Okay, if I'm shooting a rifle, right, and I'm going to do it right-handed, and I've got my chicken wing way out here, I'm a bigger target. You see this a lot. If we pull down, now I'm a much smaller target with all the support. And I'm actually not barrel flashing you guys because I'm aimed off to the side. And my finger is so short, it's hard for me to get outside of the trigger well, but I'm doing what I can with the script. So good, there is finger discipline going on. This is actually keeping me from bumping the mag release on this because it's a little light sometimes. Okay? So, the same idea of the buckler. You have, pull this down a little bit. My elbow is tucked, it is protected. My elbow is protected. My elbow is not protected. That means this is wide open. And I like to teach people how to face a style they're learning so they can know why. I'm like, okay, cover your elbow. Cover your elbow. Yes, you enjoy banging that on door frames as you move. Wait. You mean moving and shooting is different than static marksmanship? Sorry. My sarcasm button got pushed for a moment there. Okay. So, we have all this. Now, Nick, what about crossbody? It's no good crossbody. Au contraire, mon frere. I can come in, rotate around, and parry. And yes, I saw what Steve said. We're getting a little advanced. Hit a sword and wrap shot. Basically, I am a big fan of blade transitions. There are two types of blade transitions, okay? The blade transition you see me do the absolute most early on is I am one-handed fencing. I am fighting. For some reason, you've moved over here. I know I will catch, so I'll just transition, blade transfer, boom. I can do this, come back, do that. Lots of practice, this happens. There is another type of a blade transfer. Let me see. I need a blade. I need a target to show you. Alrighty. Now, you have tried to stab me. as is Beardsmick Operator. You know what? I love that costume. I was proud of that costume. Okay. Now I've caught this. I haven't caught this at nice for a bind, but I've caught it because it came on that side. So let me try and make the shot work. There we go. Boom. Yeah. Bang on that. Parry out. Good. Well, now I can slide in an attack and keep this covering, or I can transfer. Now, it's hard to do with no support on the other side, but if I catch into the V, I've now freed up my weapon, and I can cross. I can come under. This is very good. Now, I do a lot of blade transfers when I'm using more SSO looking. So, remember this guy, my happy stick. This is going to become a new sword. I just haven't catch with the stick. Let's say I've caught with the sword, pull here, out, lean in. Why would I do that? Because this is longer, marginally in this case, than this. If this is much longer, I would do it. I bumped things. Give me just a second. Okay, there we go. You can do blade transfers with a buckler. Now, if anyone who's seen this channel, if you go back, you will see my beloved Pringles buckler. I have what I call my Pringles buckler. Right? It's a wavy chip. It's vaguely hexagonal, and it has this. I kid you not, as a cross section with the supported bar in the back, so that my hand would rest between right behind where my thumbstick. It's spun aluminum, I believe. That is great because then I have all that leverage when I come up, I catch, and it holds the weapon in line much easier to open up attacks. The more aggressive you use the buckler, often the larger. So Steve was talking about something that also makes me happy. This is a convention thing. So don't drill this unless you can do it safely and it's allowed. But buckler flat, buckler straight. I mean, it's like this, but it works well enough. You have edge strike high. You have bonk, straight punch. Just ask yourself when you're holding a buckler, what would Steve Rogers do? Because our boy Captain America, and when I get my round riot shield out where you can see my arm position and everything, you'll see more, is all about shield strikes, shield bashes. Throwing the shield. Please don't. Just don't. The only reason I can see to throw a shield in your hand is so that you can pick up a firearm. Other than that, don't throw the shield, guys. Come on. I recently got a bit of a lovely conversation that I'm sure that is going to be heated about throwing knives in combat. I love knives. I'm not gonna lie. And I like fighting knives. The older I get, the more I'm okay with them. I used to kind of but yeah, tactical frisbee. One of the big questions is, what are the percentage chances that throwing that shield would do you more good than keeping that shield where it can protect you? I don't know about you, but I'ma say, well, if you ever hear the word IMA, it's an evolution of I'm gonna say, I am saying, from some of the more colorful periods of my youth, that while I did not intentionally embrace it, I did absorb it. Moments of emotional stress can sometimes bring out a very strange mix of near Oxfordian English and then a regional dialect. Things get odd, but I'm going to say it would do better where it is blocking potential shots. Because, and this is a point, this actually is falling into a point that drives me bonkers. Modern martial artists, especially Western martial artists, fixate on a tournament. They fixate on the tournament in their mentality. They fixate on the tournament in their gear, in their training, in their mindset. Yes, I am looking at everybody's favorite loud Australian. It's, yeah, that comes out every once in a while. The problem with that, and I've heard that it is hard to throw an edged throwing knife in such a way that it debilitates your opponent. I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm not saying it can't be done. But part of this goes into the audience. I do know some people who could pull it off. But then again, I know some people who can throw like a roofing, like regular 3-inch nails and have them stick nearly every time. And if that is your shtick and you're willing to devote that much effort and energy into it, at the extreme, sure, good on you. I know some ninja types who could do some things like that. But proportionately, percentage-wise, the odds of being able to do it and the amount of time and energy makes it dubious. I will say this, and I think I can say this without any offense on the subject. Never, ever, ever throw your last knife. Furthermore, throwing a knife at an unarmed opponent is not the best idea either, because if it doesn't kill them, they're armed. And one thing I do know is a staggering number of people who, during combat, have either completely shrugged off potentially life-threatening, or hear about afterwards, actually life-threatening knife wounds to engage, or have actually pulled the knife out and returned it in. Now, see, okay, she said let me go over, because I was responding to Thesis and I didn't talk about. Blade Thesis says, I've got a very old friend who uses throwing knives and she has kicked my butt. I tend to be careful with language. In sparring more times than I can count by throwing knives at me. And we were talking about that. He said, she's also a master of distraction fighting. She'll throw a knife as a distraction that then close in with a stab to the heart or other vital area. Absolutely. Now, I don't like because okay, recenter. Throwing knives removes one of your potential weapons or backup, and not only at the best it might neutralize someone and need to be retrieved to be viable for you again. At worst, it misses, and they now have a knife or an extra knife. Now, throwing items. Oh, I'm all about. Let's see. 21. An alleged occurrence may have occurred at one point, approximately 20 some odd years ago, involving one person having to fend off a large number of people armed only with his wit and the items that happened to be in his pockets at the time. Now, among those items may have involved a colorful assortment of otherwise benign things, including steel 1-inch ball bearings and a rather convenient bag of sand. The short range, the sand was very effective. At the slightly longer range, especially as someone was closing, again, allegedly, the ball bearing may have been used quite effectively. But short of them returning the throw of a ball bearing, they're not going to do nearly as much damage to me, or being smart and acquiring a sock to give you the classic pool cue sock combo, again, of acquired in knowledge from not mine but others' misspent youth. Pocket sand. Nothing wrong with that. Distraction fighting is a beautiful thing if you can distract your opponent. During my formative SCA years, I knew several people, including a rather busty individual who was very prone to certain types of distraction fighting, including having a skin color. Her body armor was skin colored, and a Velcro closure on an outer garment that she could open dramatically to imply something else, and then attempt to kill. One opponent is staggered. Incredibly dishonorable in the tournament field. Dubious in the real world, but has its place. I mean, if it has viability, it's just not something I recommend. There is another side effect. As Steve says, extra knife. If you use a deadly weapon, such as a knife, or let me see, because I keep this on for the people who message through. Oh my! I just witnessed vicious mockery that I will not convey here, but dang, I stand amused. That being said, you almost got that natural 20 glasses eye wipe off of me, Steve. Well said. I don't like tricks. Now, I can talk tricks all day, and there are a lot of tricks. The problem with trick techniques, I hate even using those in the same sentence, is they only work once. Maybe. And many times it has to be the first exposure to said trick technique, with the slight deviation of pocket sand or something like that, because even if they know to shield their eyes from the pocket sand, you see their eyes go up and wonderful openings about the kidneys and squishy bits happen. So there's dubious that, there's elements there. But that's also not what I teach. I always teach from the perspective, how do I put this, of the least physically able. In my time when I was young and fast, I was young and fast. I could go step behind a stick. I could go step behind a blade. What is go stepping? Okay. Let's see if I'm still here. Enough fabric and enough space. We're talking about cloak, right? Now, I can't get a good swirl, but when somebody cloak fights, that's not bad. They're distracting with their cloak. Now, I can't really get a good swirl in here without knocking things asunder. Okay. Right? If one were to take a sidestep with the motion, while the wielder is blinded, they, to the opponent, basically teleport half a step. They're not where they're expected to be. This is ghost stepping. Why is that relevant to what I was talking about earlier? Well, I'm dropping my toys all over the place. If you're fast, a stick extended has a blur factor. Even a fencing rapier with a big tip has a blur. And if you are very, very fast and you are very, very agile and very, very perceptive, it is possible to step in time with the blur when it crosses over. Or when, if they're using, let me pick something here, a guarded weapon, and it goes by my eyes. You see, there's a moment where if I'm doing a high guard with a saber, the guard passes for 1, 2. Now, obviously, it's slowed down, but for that nanosecond, I'm blind to what's going on in front of me. It is possible to move with that. That is a ghost step. The problem is, yes, it's a technique. At one point in my life, I could do it. Now, I'd be hard-pressed. Honestly, I'll be hard-pressed to have decent footwork when it comes in a month or so, when I can start having limited practices with vaccinated people. And yes, I'm going to say, if you have not been vaccinated, don't show up. And if that offends people, as much as I love the guild, it's not worth my family dying over. So that is my opinion on that. But my point being, can I teach that technique? I have. There are a couple of students I have who, at the time they were learning, were agile enough to perform a ghost step. It starts getting into the realm of, I know how it's done, I no longer am physically able to do it. Why is that not heavily addressed in my book? Being able to disappear for about a beat in a tempo, that's devastating fencing-wise. That borders on magical. And it looks that way to an opponent who doesn't understand that these techniques exist. Because it's a trick. And it's one that can be countered if you're really attentive and you understand that people, if they aren't where you think they should be, will predictably be where they aren't. So if I know that, and I'm dealing with somebody fast, and they aren't where they're supposed to be, I'll blind throw a shot where they're most likely to be. And they will think they didn't perform the technique right or whatever, or that I countered it somehow, because I effectively did. So I don't teach the tricks, at least as items of focus, which is why I do love throwing knives. I actually had my target up in the backyard and was planning, when the weather lets loose and I get a little bit more mowing done, to do some knife throwing. I would love to take my big old orange knives out and give them a whirl to see if I still can. A lot of my world right now is with these hands. I don't know what I can do because I haven't been in a place to safely test it. So I'm going to make arrangements to safely test the stuff. And if I can, I will demonstrate. I will tell you, I had some attempts at trying to make the rope dart work. And currently, with my braces, I can't do it. I'll mess with it some more off-site, but that's a limitation. And that's okay, folks, because you have to embrace the fact that you may have a limitation to what you're doing. And this is part of why we drill. We don't just drill and train to find out what we can do. We find out what we can't do, and then, is it I can't because I am not physically strong enough at this point, I am not in good enough shape, my skill is not, or it is beyond me because of a real physical limitation. And both of these are hazardous paths to walk in error. You have to know yourself. And to know yourself, you have to test yourself. And you have to be merciless in testing and maliciousness. That's not quite a right word, but without malice in evaluation. So I'll try things. It's like, maybe I can still do this. If I can't, I simply say, okay, I can't do that right now. I'll try drilling it later, see if I have the mobility, or it's just out of the toolbox and I work around it. I can't run right now. Heck, I can barely walk on a good day. Weather changing like this. Oh yeah, I look like that, I look like John Hammond going to the store with my hat on, If I wore a white button-up shirt, I could just tell people, I spared no expense, but you might want to stay out of the tall grass. So you have to adapt to what you do. So I'll say, oh, got to go have fun. You too, Pete. I didn't even know you were here. Great hearing for you. Pete's a great swordsman. I miss him dearly. And say hi to your kids. I miss you guys too. Very good times are coming. But yeah, you guys go out and you try it, you test it, and you get your fight on, and see how it works. Now, like I said, so getting back to throwing weapons, learn it, sure. Now, and I also said throwing knives. I'm not saying not throwing objects. A javelin is an effective thrown battle weapon. The Romans were rather fond of them. Oh, John Hammond? John Hammond is on the short list of acceptable Nick cosplays. John Hammond, basically all I need to do is dress like I dress in the winter and wear the purple stretchy gloves, and I can be Artie from Warehouse 13 pretty much at any point. If I inverted my facial hair and wore a fez, I could be Brian K. Morris. Fatter, but it could happen. And if I tweaked, I think I would really enjoy if I got a good fake beard, probably a headpiece too, being Uncle Iroh. I think I would have fun as an Uncle Iroh cosplay, but that would require me walking around with a teapot and just randomly sitting places talking to people. But that's okay. I'm a big fan of the theory. If you don't have an Uncle Iroh in your life, try to be Uncle Iroh for someone else. And that's referencing to the people who don't know the Avatar Friar Tuck from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. That's not unheard of either. I could probably pull that off. Yeah, but see, I've done different costumes and stuff, and I found like when I'm doing things right around Halloween, I don't have a costume as much as I have a yard. And I love, whenever possible, to set the scene in a very Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow is one of my favorite Halloween movies. It's like top 3, depending on my mood, being Sleepy Hollow, the original Halloween, Michael Myers, that, and Sleepy Hollow, Halloween, and probably House on Haunted Hill, excluding the Universal monsters, which are just, beautiful. I feel like I'm forgetting something that's going to come back and bite me in the butt, but we'll talk. I can see that. I've seen some of your pictures on Facebook. I can see you being Eric Draven / The Crow. Let's see. Who have I been? I've been Mal. I did Mal once for I think Rimmer was my favorite as a kid. I went as Arnold Rimmer from oh wait, no. That's my second favorite. My favorite was Igor. I went as Igor, the Hunchback. Actually, Igor. Oh, I could do Mr. Thomas and my modern satyr / Krampus is pretty legendary. I forget just how legendary the allegations of me being Krampus in Michigan City and scaring small children into behavior was. That's pretty good. But as a kid, I made a styrofoam eye prosthesis out of a big blob of potato, and I fixed it by saving the red wax from the old cheese. So I like glued it with that around my face and stuffed the pillow under my shirt. And I walked around, yes, master. Oh, that was fun. Hi, Willow. We're going to take we're mid show hour break. Just reminding you guys, the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by, we'll go in reverse order. Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the RPG. Oh, my computer's making noises. Please don't die. Okay, cool. But I don't know why it's making noises. That's terrifying. I'm actually going to be doing a live playthrough of the Quick Play tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I don't even... have the link. I hope you guys are still there. Cool. Okay, we are back. My phone, my thing went away. But I will be running that as soon as I have the link. I will share it. This is the game I've been designing for over a year with Luke Stone. It's also brought to you by The Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Doctor. I'm a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast News Network. I just add news to it. I really need to get Brian to do a news show, or maybe Lewis Lee, but I think he does that enough professionally. Guys, follow that. You'll get folks like Cindy Cap. Cindy needs a show. We need to bug Cindy into having a show. Willow has a show. Guys, all sorts of... she does comics, chaos, and sass. Please watch that. Great entertainment. All righty. And I'm brought to you by my patrons, www.patreon.com/The Historical Fencing Guild. Look for the boot. And $1 a month keeps us going. So here we go. Back to the thing. I did Gomez Adams. See, I don't cosplay as Gomez Adams, although I would if Amanda would dress as Morticia in like a heartbeat. I want you to understand that. But I try to live as Gomez Adams. Gomez Adams is one of those beings who affected me. I think you undervalue your ability to entertain an audience, Cindy. You've been absolutely ravishing throughout all the shows you were on. But basically, if you pick something you know and love, or you just wanted to do your version of a Never Mind the Furthermore, where you plug people and just have fun doing it while advertising your works, folks love it. But getting back on the ball. Oh, wow. We were Sakura 2 weeks ago and Petronella Osgood before that. Oh, I could probably be a decent Dr. Ock. And because I have professional mascot work, I am not afraid of more elaborate costumes, but they would have to be elaborate. Wow. Totally off topic, but if I had a good shot at a decent Godzilla costume, like a good one, oh, I'd have problem. A good kaiju. Oh no. I just figured out how to do the perfect costume, and I almost feel bad about it now. Oh, that's delightful. There's no way I could do it, but boy, is that delightful. Okay. Well, I will tell you guys what I thought because it's totally off topic and we're... Steve says free of spiders. Y'all don't know. Those of you who don't shouldn't. I know why you did that, because you want to see the reaction. You do amazing cosplay, Willow. You are gorgeous, and you do an exquisite Elvira. There are never enough Elvira cosplayers, and it does my heart good to see it. You really are quite talented. It's funny. I never wanted really to be the actor. I really genuinely wanted to be the special effects guy. So if I were ever on screen, no one would realize it's me kind of roles. Can we make? Oh, it's so funny that you say that. If you go look at my other channel, I've actually done my other channel, the Nicholas Talker channel, which has been neglected for nearly a year because I kind of got fixated on doing this. It's where I was doing good. Has some stop motion stuff, and I intend to do some more really cool stop motion stuff. You might just get to see a city get smashed in one form or another. I'm not even kidding. So we'll see. And yes, Elvira is yummy. I have a 3-foot tall Elvira Halloween thing that lives in my living room. I have a couple of Elviras on my wall of cool. I absolutely, and it's not just because a lot of people, oh, she's incredibly busty. She's well built, but the character, like, I grew up watching Elvira on the West Coast doing Movie Macabre, and that funny mix of wit and self-deprecating humor and just sharpness and unabashed comfort. Very empowered individual. Really influenced me. Elvira really influenced me. As did Tom Baker's Doctor Who was probably the most influential character I ever encountered, like in all of fiction. And yeah, basically, Elvira is why, believe it or not, I'm a sapiosexual. In that whole, I cannot be attracted to someone who's stupid. I hate to put it that way. It sounds terrible. I don't care how well built they are. If it's one of those look behind the eyes and you just see, boop, boop, I may feel, I'm sorry, no, I'm not judging you, but that I could never go for that. It's one of the few threads that run through everyone I've ever had a romantic attachment with is there has to be a lot going on in the mental background and that level of sharpness. But yeah, I definitely have a enjoyment of the Leo. You know what? That doesn't even surprise me. And you know what? Okay, we gotta stop because Bud Thesis says if I go way back to the time I did Leonardo from Ninja Turtles when I was in grade school, it's probably my most intricate costume and got me started on my martial arts journey. I was always a Donatello fan and a Splinter fan. I always loved Splinter. And I would love to get in good enough shape, and I'd have to really slim out to do it. But to do a version of like the 2012 Splinter, because I will say the 2012 Ninja Turtle Splinter is, yeah, is the absolute best. Why are you dotting, Steve? I'm curious. Oh, okay, I know why you're dotting. Oh, Willow is happily married, and it just fits. Very fortunate man. That's why I flirt. I only flirt with people who are totally either unavailable or no misconception. I have a whole. It's very Fey-like. Don't try to understand it unless you understand it. There are rules. If I have strange rules. We could talk about that sometime. But that's totally. We are way afield of our normal content, guys. So let's. Oh, I'm calling you out on your axis. Steve, you have walked many a dark and lonely path, and sometimes you have reached for the low hanging fruit in life. I don't hold it against you, but it is a fact. Beast, absolutely. Beast and Nightcrawler. Beast and Nightcrawler, best X-Men. Absolutely. Beast especially because for all his intellect, there was very little ego to Beast. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and probably because he had to deal with how he looked, and it helped him mature and whatever. You know, I really felt that if like somebody put out the conflict between mutants and humans in the X-Men universe was over, peace, everybody's at peace. Beast is the first one to be able to count. It's still related in our minds, so it counts. Okay, good. But yeah, and it's important to know who your heroes are. It really is, because if you don't know who your heroes are, I was Indiana Jones once. Great fun costume. But yeah, it's Indiana Jones again. An intellectual, active, kind of roguish character. You're gonna find that a lot. My boy Giles is still. You guys don't know this. Of course, you can't know this unless you do, which is scary. My wife and I just started a rewatch on Buffy, and I know with all the current events, Joss Whedon is kind of problematic. And I've had this happen with a lot of characters and people I like. How do I deal with the fact that they're problematic? And the simple matter is, I enjoy the materials they created, regardless of the situation. Oh, Gambit. Gambit's great, but you better have a good Cajun accent to pull off Gambit, or just don't try. You know? I did Data once. I did Data. That shouldn't surprise anybody. As a kid, I'm sorry. Part of the side effect of some of my conditions is memory loss. I actually have a lot of memory loss, so I'm remembering what I wore largely from remembering looking at images of it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of how my mind works. You would make a great Jubilee, Cindy. You would make a great Jubilee. I can completely see that. And you should always pick costumes that are comfortable for you. Now, I know, guys, some of you are watching this channel from a perspective, because I know I can keep track of who's talking, who's watching. Yeah, you know what? I like that. Foxy says, the way I looked at it is the other people worked hard on that. I can watch it for them. The other thing is, especially Buffy, was very important. Buffy hit at a time that was very bad in my life. It was actually some of the worst period I had ever had. And I found in Buffy a character I kind of could identify with and was comfortable. That would be Giles. Yes, as a teenager, I associated firmly with Giles. That shouldn't surprise anyone here. Steve says, "Didn't you do an Alucard one time?" Oh yes, yes. As an adult, I did. Ichabod Crane was fabulous. I love my Ichabod Crane for my Halloween birthday party, and I had so much stupid fun as Alucard because I wasn't just Alucard, and I wasn't just Ultimate Helsing Alucard. I was Ultimate Helsing Alucard abridged. Ultimate Helsing abridged Alucard. Sorry, my dyslexia gets a hold of me sometimes, and then I just don't know what to do, but that's okay. I'm not intimidating because you're not intimidating. But no, I like characters that either are very close and I can kind of almost be a non-character, or are like dialed to 12 personality and I just kind of revel in projecting because it's not me. Both are very tired. But yeah, okay, hold on. So I got some great comments. Cindy kept saying yay for Nightcrawler for life. Thesis. I think that's why Wow. Yeah, that's part of why I like Luke Stone's Bone so much. And don't be perverse. I mean the character Bone. Great development potential there. Pulled off Gambit. Gambit's amazing. Jubilee, Alucard, Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah. You guys want to see my speech impediment? Get hold of a word and try to choke me with my own tongue. The word after Johnny. Mnemonic. That physically hurts. So I'm going to keep going past it. uh, but no, you identified with the nerdy teacher librarian whose life work was training the next generation and sarcasm. Not only that, throughout college, I was the nerdy teacher slash librarian type character who people came to when they had supernatural problems because I either had the research or knew how to get it to solve said problem without judging them too strictly on how they got into said problem in the first place. Basically, freshmen through, we'll say the first four because I took the 8-year plan of college. The middle four, especially, were a mix between Giles. Basically, take Rupert Giles, make him the Doctor, and not give him access to the TARDIS, and you get a large number of how I spent my years. Steve Clausen says, "How in the blood-soaked Protestant hell did you do that?" Bite me, that's how. No, yeah, I would be tempted to be Alexander Anderson at some point too. Still to this day, one of my favorite moments with Giles is when the Scoobies run across him singing in the coffee shop. That man has a voice. Yes, yes, he does. He's an old school rocker, and he has a great voice. And anytime they referenced young Giles or had him and Spike working together, it was delightful. That man can sing. I cannot. I should not. My singing voice is a plague upon the earth. I accept this as fact. But yes, absolutely delightful. And that's part of why I'm going back through it, because I found sometimes to understand where you are, you have to go back mentally with your current perspective and see what influenced you where. And I have very strong mixed opinions on Repo. Yes, when Ripper comes out. Since a large number of my current friends in my life, there are gaps. I don't know if this makes sense. Points in college in school where I had a lot of friends. Points in college where I had a lot of friends. And throughout these are certain gaps of a few months, a few years, where other manifestations of my personality rose and quietly got moved aside for another. The teenage episode sort of reminds me of that feeling, because we've all had moments and times in our life where I don't know about you, but where we've pulled out of the majority of society and kind of gone on walkabout. I've done it several times. I realize as we are coming out of the pandemic lockdown, I've been quietly on a sort of walkabout this whole time. Oh, God. Behind Blue Eyes is one of my favorite songs of all time. For reasons I don't usually discuss, but again, beautiful. And yes, his rendition is phenomenal. But that's okay, guys. One reason, and why, Nick, if you're hosting a show about historical fencing, are you prattling on about Buffy? To realize what you're training in, you have to know why. And the vast majority of us have someone or something we're reaching out for. We want to be something or someone. And sometimes we don't realize who our heroes are. Now, obviously, I hold my father in a type of heroic standing, but we are very different people. So I go about things differently than him in a lot of cases. But he brought me up, as all Tucker men, to hold the line. It manifests differently, but there are many things I will stake my last name. I won't associate my last name to, but holding the line. When hits the fan and no one's sure what to do, we do something. It might not be right. Usually, if you can't do something smart, do something good. Is one of those kind of things that radiate, and the folks who see that get that. And I'm sorry you saw me freeze for just a second because my fairly recently, it's been a couple months now, I think. Time and I don't get along well. My friend Benjamin Starkey died, and Ben was one of the best friends I've ever had. He was the kind of person who just enters your life and reshapes it. And I was sitting drawing some kind of anime, something or other, in a Hawaiian shirt, shockingly. And Ben, who was 6 foot tall and like 405, huge, 6'6", 6'8", makes Ben made John Miner look like an average sized person. To give you the scale of this guy, comes running in, and he slams both his very large hands, and his hands were 2.5 of mine. Bam! On the table. He goes, "You're not Wash, you're Book. They think you're Wash, but you're Book." I had not seen Firefly. I certainly, this is pre-Serenity. But when a large man with horns curling out of his ears because he was goth and he wore piercings and gauges and spikes and had bits of metal, and he's an old friend, and he was halfway in goth makeup anyway because it was, Tuesday. Slant, you agree. You may find out what you've agreed about later, but you agree. And that's what got me into Firefly. But, yeah. It's my cut fence and sort things out. It's my job. It was my job to be the guy who went in when the right people weren't around. Like this situation calls for either firefighters or the police or the Vatican or somebody, and none of them are around, so I'm going to go do my best to patch it up till the pros get out and then leave just before they arrive because I'm not comfortable with questions. And that literally was my late teens to 20s. Through the 20s, and it made me me. But when I fight defensively. I fight conservatively of energy. I want to fight efficiently. All this is because of these experiences I've had. And the heroes that I have selected that have inspired me, usually, everybody has like Alucard would be a very power fantasy hero. The Alucard of best is Vampire Hunter D with sarcasm. I mean, great character, but most of my heroes were underdogs or under-equipped for what they were doing, always. And that made me think that way. The MacGyvers in this world. I was not, and I still, I don't count myself among the winners, I might be the survivors, but, I don't, first place isn't a place, I don't belong on podiums, and I've learned that. But it affects, understanding that has made me learn how to fight in such a way that as my ability waxes and wanes, as with pressure, with whatever, I can adjust. And I learned a long time ago, if I can't, I like Jazz Say Reason, I like Joe Dawson. Both actors speak to me. Joe Dawson is more rocker, and Giles is more rocker. Dawson is more bluesy, but they're both great. Absolutely. One of the things I liked about Buffy was it wasn't fighting monsters. It was about the people just as much. That's something I require. Yes, I'm not. Okay, get a lot of comic book people. It isn't the super that interests me. Say that again. It isn't the super that interests me. This is the first quick play in the hybrids. It is literally my current profession to make RPG materials for a superhero comic book. And I'll look you straight in the eye. This was weeks of work attached to something that's years of work and literally decades of training. It isn't the superpowers that interest me. It's what people do with them. Exactly. Oh, you know what? I love that. You guys have pizza and you watch that is so cool. That is so cool because that's what I love. I love that I'm sitting here entertaining. Given weekend, yeah, all my heroes are dead. Yeah. And that's an interesting point. Steve made a point, and I actually had to leave a conversation because they were talking about the Vietnam War, and it was a bunch of people of an age where I don't think they've known any veterans, let alone lived through it. I have known veterans. My father is a Vietnam veteran. Thank God. I say thank God not because of his occurrence, but because he's still here. This weekend, and I guess this weekend is Memorial Day. Now, some of you are international, and it doesn't affect you like it affects the Americans who've paid attention. But many of you, if not this weekend, have a holiday similar where we think on the sacrifice of our honored fallen. And I do truly believe in many cases the best and the brightest have had to lay their lives down to prevent the actions of the darkest and the most vile. And there are real heroes. And real heroes aren't the biggest, they aren't the toughest, they aren't even the winners, folks. Real heroes, real heroism is doing what needs to be done, knowing full well that you will probably be forgotten in the dark. It's muddy and it's bloody and it stinks. And there's a saying, all gave some gave all. And some still, we're going to go off topic, but about 22 American veterans die of suicide every day in this country. And to me, every one of them, count as, victims of the war. We as a nation and as individuals have failed each and every one of them. And every time they talk about defense spending, every time they talk about, a new war or a new conflict or whatever, it infuriates me because they will let American heroes, people who signed a blank check to our nation, die in the streets. And I'm sorry if this got a little dark and it got a little serious and it got a little political. It's important, and it's important to me. But this has been a very emotional broadcast. So I'm going to get back, guys. Do you need? Sorry. Like, I manifested an aspect of myself I don't normally do, either in public or on this program, and I am sorry. Normally, this is a very safe space for folks because a lot of you guys are scared. You don't need aggression in your life, but this is important. So please remember the fallen and respect them. Take a moment to appreciate the sacrifice and what I think is important for us civilians. I am a fat civilian, to the point I still have an ongoing project with Steve that someday will will come to fruition involving that very title. But I am a fat civilian, and I am one against stolen valor with a passion. And two, I have to think about what do they want. And I've known people who've died. I've held their hands as they've crossed over, and I've seen some shit. They want people who are good. Heroes want you to live. They want you to love. They want happiness. Oh, sorry. sorry. And yeah, sometimes you guys are. A lot of times I can talk to you guys. I don't get a lot of interaction. I live, if you threw a dart at the middle of nowhere about 5 or 6 miles west in the state of Indiana, I reside. We don't even have cornfields right now because they've rolled up the cornfields in place of hay because the corn was too exciting. But no, I normally don't put that level out there. There's stuff you guys don't need that. You guys need a light and a footstool. That's what I'm good at, and that's what I do. That's how I serve. My family has helped veterans. I try to help anybody who needs it. It is always my honor when I can help a veteran do something that maybe they didn't do through their military service, or learn to control some of what was built up in the military service in a civilian world. That's one of my highest honors. But so I'm going to stop, and I'm just going to get back on topic. We got about half hour, and I want to talk. Some of you guys, oh god, wow. I cannot believe the emotional roller coaster this video has been today. But there, a lot of folks get me the message. Okay, Nick, we're about a month out from a lot of things being really open if we keep on the track we're on. A lot of folks are getting their shots. They're being smart. We're going to start sparring again. Where do I go? What do I begin? What should I order? Now, is it actually in the living room? I have so many swords. I love it. I am a wealthy man. At least I feel wealthy. I have many, many swords. So we're not going to talk about primaries. I'm going to talk about primary swords next week. Does that sound good to you guys? Next week, a good discussion on primary swords. We're going to talk about secondary because they're very inexpensive. Relatively. If you're buying off the rack, I want to remind, because we have new people, we have old people. Old hat folks are going to know about the Trinity. How did I lose a bright orange buckler? Okay. This is what I call the Trinity. This is the under 50 low-cost gear Trinity for offhand weapons. Okay? I got a ping. Before I get into this, let me make sure it's not terribly important. And unfortunately, part of me doing stuff this time of year, to answer the question, I never do. But yeah, I'm glad I could help, Steve. This is the offhand Trinity. I have yet to see a combo. Now, you can get variants, and if you want to go through Purple Heart Armory, use the affiliate link. I can talk about some of the gear they have that I like. I don't know if they have a parry dagger I like yet. I may have to talk to them about that. But you can go on Amazon usually. You could go on Budk usually, Cold Steel, Price Shop. But these are the three things you really want to consider for your secondary weapons. This is for your left-handedness, especially. I spent a good part talking about this buckler. I'll be doing a whole video going over this, preferably if my wife is up to doing the stabbing. If not, I'll have to contract somebody to help. And by contract, probably like, I will pay you in baked goods. But this should be around $25. If you find it cheaper, buy two. I literally bought another one because I found one on sale. This is the best buckler for Hemodum. It is not good against steel weapons, and it can be a little destructive against foam. But for your synthetics, like we usually park in, you should get that. Now you'll find this guy. This is the Cold Steel Parry Dagger. This runs anywhere. I've seen it as low as $8 up to $25. you want at least 2 of these. This is the single most amazing light training weapon, and I'm so devastatingly sorry that Cindy Kep's order got goofed up. So we're going to see about that. This is going, because, if anything, because of this offset right here. The ring gives decent protection. I have one tucked away that I added a piece of HDPE and made it into a main gouge. This, it's light, it's effective, and most of all, the reason it's flaking is it's forgiving. Thesis, if we were closer together, you'd be coming out to either monthly or weekly practices, depending on how we get content, and you'd be probably sitting on a chair next to me one of these. No, he's just looking. Baked goods are like coffee. You can have your favorite coffee in the world, but you're not going to turn down another cup. This is instructive, it's light, it's fast. You can drill with it indoors. Anything you do with a sword, you can do with this. And especially if you're a smallish person, this is just, I can't sing its praises enough, other than why Cold Steel won't make a sword version of it. And then we have the Trench Hawk Trainer. Good Lord, this thing. One, this may be my favorite back scratcher because it has the weight to get in there. But see, all jokes aside, they're nigh bulletproof. They're balanced superbly. You can use them in a myriad of ways. And this is one of my all-time favorite trainers. So, for your offhand, the Trinity exists, and it is very feasible to get all 3 of them combined for less than $50. Usually you're going to look at 75 to 100 for all 3, but if you shop around, also you can easily make versions of this. I'm going to do something one of these days. I'm going to figure out some important information, and I'm going to do something special for the guild. You just give me time. I have this odd habit of when the mojo aligns of making miracles happen. But this is this is a great trainer, and everybody should have it. These are your 3, because it's an axe, it's a dagger, it's a buckler. These are your 3 of the 5 techniques. You want to stick, guess what? I might add this. This might be wow. Is this the 4th of the great trainers, also by Cold Steel? It's the, I think they actually just call it like a bamboo stick. Now, mine has a cane foot because, of course it does. But this is a great stick trainer. Again, it works phenomenally. It's low cost. If it's too long for you, you can easily cut it off at one of these marks. It has a complete non-slide. Like, I don't think if I grip it full strength and twist, I can barely get my hands to slide, even though they're sweaty, and I have a brace that is very, very smooth. I love these things. I love the material, and if I had one that was made like this, but maybe either half again as long or twice as long, I'd dance a jig. That's not bad. Arrangements could be made, because not to out anyone inappropriate, but some guild members are in Iowa. Well, quite a few in Michigan City. Not in Michigan City, although there are a couple still in Michigan City. In Indiana, we could work something out. Especially now, if I ever get a formal guild space like a training hall, yeah, I'm going to hold a party, and then it'll be worth it. We'll make arrangements, but we'll see. Something good is coming. Those you really want to consider. There isn't an off-the-market cloak I have found. Now, if you guys are interested in my take on designing fencing cloaks, that's one I could probably bring my wife in on, and we could talk about how to make a really nice fencing cloak. It might even get me It's on my way north. Arrangements really the world might get interesting one of these days. We'll talk about making a fencing cloak if that's what you guys are interested in. My job is to serve you. But from my modified version of the fencing book, from the SC, I will always root in SCA fencing. The styles were case of rapiers, which is 2 swords. I love 2 swords. Sword and dagger, again, bread and butter for me. Stick, rigid and non-rigid. Rigid parry device is actually no, yeah, stick is part of rigid. Rigid parry device is stick and shield, and then non-rigid, which is either using a cloak or using something like a stuffed animal as a diversionary. Yeah, we can make, like I said, guys, we can make arrangements to do something once, some stability. Now, I have, God, between, we'll say medical necessities and a few other things, Lard Tackert, the Scottish Lard, thanks to my parents, is a little, it'll be a while. But if you guys are serious on the Patreon group, maybe we'll start a conversation. Arrangements could be made. Call, I need a pickup truck for all the swords and gear, but we'll figure something out. So, for offhands, it can be done. Currently, this is still pretty much my favorite of the plastic HEMA style weapons put out by Purple Heart. I am incredibly biased because I commissioned it, and there are a couple things coming I want to look at, plus the 1.33 sword is amazing, and it's a bit lighter. But you want something that's roughly between the length of your arm to the finger extended to your center line. That is the blade length you want. I like this because if I get where my grip is, I grip here, there's a ricasso, but as you see, this is actually perfectly sized for me. Because where I grip, there's still this extra bit of padding. Well, it's not padding, but you know what I mean. Between the adds to the blade length of effectiveness. Now, if I could I may just have to try to get a chunk of material dished and slid on here. We'll have to work on that, but this for me is optimal. Wow. We'll have to see. I mean, if you guys really want to try to stage a meetup, we'll have to see, especially post harvest. That puts it in late fall. That's a good time. I just need to know because I also, especially coming this coming winter, I will probably be working the concert, get quite a bit selling big stumpy robots again, and the simple sword, and possibly formally involved in the hybrid stuff. I'm not sure how Luke, who's my partner, will be doing that, but we'll see. This is exciting. I love it. Also, this came up both on this channel, and it came up in discussion. My end caps are missing. On the Stupid O'Clock folks, and that's Thursday nights and Saturday nights on YouTube. Thursday nights at 9 and Saturday at 11. Stupid O'Clock, where I talk with. I tend to hop on. I am not a member of that show, but I crash it a lot with Dan Hollyfield and Joe Dog and John Scarborough and Skunk Rocker. But oh wow. There's some opportunities. I have been a bad sword master, naughty. I have not cleaned this up, but I made this. I made this to talk about how to make a grip. I think I made it on the channel. I lost it, and they wanted to see it. But I'm probably going to put a type of blade on this. I haven't decided what type of blade. So let me know, guys. Maybe put it in the comments. What type of blade you think this should be? Now, I'm going to keep this to a short sword, so it won't be much longer than this. But what do you think? I will tell you that the grip style, which looks a little funky because it slipped, is amazingly comfortable and responsive. But I'm thinking of making a boffer/LARP style sword. We'll see. Oh, I am out of beverage. I usually have a backup, and I drank my backup setting up this video. So we will work. I can endure. I do want to thank everyone who stayed around, and everyone who caught through Facebook me covering Brian's with the cannot find the furthermore. I had a lot of fun kind of giving some overlap in his channel so that there'd still be content. I hope you guys enjoyed that. But yeah, guys, we are building up, and so we figure all you guys who are sitting, and maybe you haven't been drilling as much. Hi. We are about a month out from things really starting to get interesting again. I'm going to have to work my short, fat derriere. What? What did I do? Steve, you just dropped the classic, and with the delay, I have no idea what I did to provoke a dang it Nick. I am innocent. Except for killing that spider with assorted Nerf weaponry because it existed in my study during a show, and I don't get interrupted during my shows. As my buddy John found out when I greeted him at the door with the tomahawk, as the spider found out under a hail of foam. But yeah, tell me what I did wrong. Take better care of yourself. I'm working on it. You know why I'm a little tired? I've been going to the doctor and getting things straightened out, and all sorts of meds and treatment and new diets and a whole bunch of things are happening in the background to make me better at what I do for you guys. It's why I'm rocking the man. It looks like I'm losing a little bit of hairline there. That's okay. I don't mind. You guys don't mind. My wife doesn't mind. It's all winning. But things are coming. Better things. And with about a month out, I have to get my house back in order. I have to repair some things because I'm still building up from the injuries. I mean, I went from I couldn't walk more than a couple hundred steps a day to regularly breathing liquid. No. Drinking liquid. I'm fine. I get a little dry throat sometimes, and I also usually bring a larger bottle of liquid in when I do my video. But good things are coming. But yeah, while we're at that, we need to start getting in shape. So please, if you aren't drilling, now is a great time to pick some type of SSO. Foxy gets it. Yes. I'm maintaining. I got a little. It's nice coffee. I drank it too fast. Get an SSO. Start basic drilling. I've said it before. If you're not sure how to do the basic drill, the 9 guards in the simple sword system are the very first video I ever shot for this channel. There's a lot of pot and kettles in this dishwasher we call the Historical Fencing Guild, but pick a light one. You don't need to strain yourself. You don't need to prove I am macho and strong and rip something early. Go slow. I'm not all time. Oh god, these tubes are all twisted up anyway. My throat looks like a double helix. It's complicated. But But start drilling, guys. Slow, steady, controlled. Okay? The much less fat version of me at the very... Oh, you made my month. The letter will probably... I need to get frames, but I have a stack of my own paintings I haven't framed, so my wife's going to look at me funny when I say I need to frame those too. And when I read you the study, that letter's going on the wall. That's beautiful. And yes, thank you. I am genuinely deeply touched by that gift. But guys, start drilling. Start getting in shape. The other thing I want you to do, this is going to sound odd. I understand. I completely understand the difficulty in calligraphy and having to redraw. Lord, do I understand it. While I occasionally do digital coloring, all the art you see me do on nickt.deviantart.com or the stuff I throw up on Facebook, I ink manually, and then I take a picture of, and then I scan and color it there. I fully understand and appreciate it, and I am, thank you, I'm truly blessed to have people like you in my life. I know that feeling too. I'm dealing with a lot of it because of the addition of the braces and the nerve damage and everything, atrophying and such. I lost a lot. It's why I don't draw as often, and I certainly don't draw as much as I used to. It's quite physically painful. So I take that deadly serious. So thank you. That being said, back to my good tips before we get towards the end of this video. We live in a world where we go from air conditioning to air conditioning. If you're going to fight outdoors, spend some time just being outdoors, folks. And I get it, Thesis. I really do. I really, truly understand. Thank you. I know don't be so hard on yourself, man. You are a talented artist, a talented creator, and you're just going to get better. So please don't beat yourself up too much. I am deeply touched by that. Back to the main conversation, and that's not a shot on anybody. This is me being Captain ADD here. Spend some time outdoors. Sit outdoors. Don't just jump into outdoor strenuous stuff, but don't neglect it. Oh god, my mother has much better handwriting than I do. It's gorgeous. It's quite problematic that she has never embraced the artist that she should be. Anyhow, guys, drill. Pick a light sword simulating object. Don't drill outside with live steel, because then the police get involved. That's why I like my big orange plastic trainers or PVC trainers. When the police come, they are much less likely to shoot you. I know that sounds facetious, but it's not. You don't want to be scarily armed these days when you are doing sword drills. So, go through your drills. Train slowly. If you are comfortable, look at what it's done for Cindy Cap if you're on the Historical Fencing Guild's Facebook group, the public group. This being able to record yourself and watch it and analyze honestly lets you get better. You get to be your own sword master to an extent. Do that. Drill. Find where your catches are and move to improve. And if it won't, if you find that mechanically, maybe you have a bone spur, whatever, you can't get it, that's just the time to develop workarounds, refinement. Sunblock, and I'll be honest, because of some of the medications I'm on, the sun and I are not friends. I do a lot of night drilling. I do a lot of stuff where I have a light out back Ooh, you hear that, folks? And he kept us almost ready to show y'all. And that's us, y'all. Fan Form 18. Oh, I'm excited. I love it because it's a style I don't do. So I can look at it and go, that's cool. And, I'm definitely like, ooh. I'll watch something like that. Go, I like that parry. And it goes into the buffet of how I fight. Yeah, see, and all the support for City. That's beautiful. And that's what I'm going to do. Guys, I want to talk to you. There's a story I read a long time ago, and it was kid was learning Tai Chi, and he was watching his dad. His kid's dad's teaching him Tai Chi, and he's going through the motions. And he goes through a full set of forms. I think it was a Yang short form, not a lot of positions, but he goes through them. And then he goes, his son's learning to go through them. And his grandfather's out doing the same form. But instead of going through the form, he'll stop and reset and do the first position over. It could be any of them. It doesn't really matter. Parting the wild horse's mane, whatever. Over, stop, and again, painfully slow. And his son had made fun of Dad. You know how to do all that. Why are you doing? And as he aged, he watched his son learning. He realized his father is mastering it, understanding the why. You may have to do the same thing 10,000 times to fully embrace it. Then you do it. Oh, Foxy. I'm so white I'm not allowed outside most of the summer. Darling, I'm white as Wonder Bread, okay? This is literally what you are seeing right now is the darkest I have been where I'm not burnt. I am the king of wide-brimmed hats at this point. Winter I wear hats like this. This is not the hat, which is the hat. This is the knockoff. Because I'm not light sensitive. This is necessary to not have my eyes hurt at something like Walmart. When I'm out in public, I usually wear a proper fedora, not a trilby there to be confused. Or I love Single Whip from Yang Simplified. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see the Single Whip from Yang Simplified 24 form. I actually understand what you're talking about. One of the best things as a swordsman, and I use that as a gender neutral, so please don't get on me. When you see Tai Chi, watch somebody doing Tai Chi and mentally add the Jin in their hand. Parting the wild horse's mane suddenly goes from a very florid motion. Hold on, what am I doing? Okay, sorry. Had to cross arts for a second there. To the idea of this suddenly makes sense. When you look at the styles, you will find that there are reasons. And when you start to realize the reason, it's like, oh, they're doing a little swirl thing. Don't be afraid to stop a video or ask somebody, because a lot of the why things have been done in something like Tai Chi may have been forgotten, because as it's evolved through the destructive period where martial arts were kind of suppressed, and as it's being reconstructed, you have to start looking at the not just what, but the why. And if you watch what I'm doing, my personal drills, if you ever get to see me do them, they look funny. I do my sword drills and I do some open-handed drills, which don't, unless you know what you're doing, it looks very florid. It looks silly. Yes, needle on the bottom of the ocean is really good. Wait, needle on the bottom of the ocean. I should remember that. And my brain drew a blank, but that's okay. If you have the balance to pull it off. See, and that's one thing. I might not know, because a lot of times I've gone through the different styles, and if I physically am not able to pull it off, I just disregard it. So it means I forget a lot of stuff simply because it doesn't apply to me So when I'm looking at my own basic style in my training, it doesn't get logged in. It's very narcissistic, I guess. But when I'm looking at my style, I only when I am playing, my wife gets mad at me. She's like, "You're so pretty when you play." Usually before practice, especially if it's outside, I can be found with some kind of stick, usually a stick or other sword simulating object, and not even one of my training swords, going through what seemingly random series of motions. It's not true kata because it's not sequential, but I go through them in part because the 9 is just how I go through. Hey, you know what? I want you to be comfortable first and foremost. If you want, look up somebody else doing it to remind me. I know there are videos out there. You just put the timestamp of when they're doing it. I have no doubt that you can do what you say you do. It's not my place to. Oh no, you can't. That gatekeeping crap. But I'll go through it, and then I start doing other things. And if I'm doing my style right, most of what I do armed, cool, can transfer over to unarmed. And the ideas start having value, even if they're applied differently. I'll give you a good example. One, anybody who's seen me drill sees is something like this. It's a sweep out, sweep in. Now, if it's a long stick, hit, hit. If it's a short stick, it's a conversion where I can be like short shank, long shank, boom. Hit my ceiling. God beat up my background, or else you guys don't think I'm really fine. I didn't even know you had a channel. If you have a channel and you want to share it, put it in the links. I'll subscribe and share it around. That's all. All you have to do is ask on that one. But if you see this motion turns into a type of arm lock. It's a deflective arm lock where I'm taking a punch, turning somebody around, and redirecting their force into a couch or padding so they don't hurt me. It's part of a 2-man therapeutic hold that I did so much in my days of working with behavioral special needs that it's integrated and overlapped with my martial arts style. Because fundamentally, I don't like hurting people. So I always look for the minimal damage. And that's when interesting things start to happen, when I realized that there's a variant where catch the punch, deflect the elbow to the side of the jaw was an old thing from batter days. Whereas catch, flow through, doink. That's a mean thing to do to somebody. But now catch, flow through, maintain control, leverage them down, and go. Well, that whole body mechanic works with a stick. Isn't that cool? And what I've done a lot of that and a lot of that, where it's just and it looks so kung fu-y. I hate to put it that way. I do not. I dislike personal attention. Okay. I think I may have missed a point, but okay. Oh, I used to hate seeing myself. I still don't like how I look. I have some pretty severe body dysmorphia. I don't like my physical appearance, but I've accepted that I'm better than the way, than how I appear. You know what I mean? There's more to me than simply this fleshy man suit that my spirit is forced to wear. If you're doing what you're doing and you do it right, it all overlaps and you get the same motions. It's very Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off, your muscle memory. And you'll do the same things. It will start, it's neat when it starts to overlap. Where, somebody bumps open a door and you go to block the door and you realize, like the cabinet door that came popping at you, you've parried it with a proper knife edge parry kind of thing. And that's where you start seeing the viability. So it's real interesting, folks. I understand. We're also where Foxy might be falling into it. We are in a world where very few parameters are considered acceptable as attractive, both in men and women, and it is broadening slowly. But when you're told you can't, there's a part of me that's waiting for my wife to just be like, oh no, I just actually don't like the way you look. You know what I mean? Married nearly 20 years. It wouldn't surprise me. Me, absolutely love her. Love her. And I'm attracted to her. Good God, a man is attracted to his own wife. But there's a part of me that will never believe that's back. And it's just how I always feel. Trauma does that. And sometimes when you carry a scar like that, and you know it can't be treated, you accept it's a scar, you know it's fictional, and you just walk on. So yeah, we'll see, and we'll see. But I do try to build folks up, and I do encourage, even if you don't share it, record yourself so that you can see your own progress. It's just like drilling in front of a mirror. So do that. Now we are well over the 2-hour mark, and I actually have a standing appointment with some munchies and I believe the 4th episode of season 1 of Buffy with my wife. So I don't want to be here too long and get in trouble. So what I'm going to say is thank you, folks. The Historical Fencing Guild is a proud member of the Rising Tide Network. So screenshot this if you have it. Follow folks on here. We got Brian's shows, never mind the Furthermore, Clever Title Pending. We got Ted Davies' TED Talks, Amy Hale's Creative as Hale. We have Heather Ellen's Comics, Chaos and Sass. She is absolutely delightful. I don't think my brain just started, but Willow Schuyler runs a wonderful program, which isn't part of this network, but she's amazing. Pillow Talk with Willow. Please look her up. Let's see. A lot of the people who follow my channel, if you haven't liked, please like this video. It's good for the algorithms. Please share it so other people can see it if you think it has value. And if you don't, tell me what I'm doing wrong. I would love to improve. I'm all about improving, okay? Very soon, between the weather and some of my stuff, I'm planning to do some creative projects. If you want to support what I'm doing, please consider becoming a Patreon member. It's as low as $1 a month, and it gives you access to some in-work projects. You guys, basically, if the Patreon folks say, Nick, will you do a video on something? I do a video on it if it's in my power. If you want to learn the simple sword technique, please. I keep this as cheap as Amazon will let me because it has color. It's a little more expensive. The ebook is much more fiscally attractive, we'll put it that way. This is incredibly cheap because I was able to do this one in black and white. I want you guys to have access to knowledge, and I want it to be inexpensive and interesting. So please go to amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tockert. See, that's my sexy picture. Oh, that's my Ichabod Crane. Actually, we're talking about it, and this is off topic, but who cares? That is from my Halloween party where I went as Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow. It came out dashing. It's one of the few times you'll see me clean shaven. But if you want to see the other picture, you'll have to look for another video or buy the other book yourself. But please, if you have questions, comments for me or anyone else you hear mentioned on this channel, fire them off in the comments. We're all about conversation here. So be good to each other. Be kind. Please start drilling and accommodating to the weather so that you have less problems later. And as always, folks, support your local swordmaster.